Oh, it's like a delay.
Yeah, it's a delay. Is that a good idea for a traffic light?
Probably not.
No. No. Right? Your traffic light, you want it to flick on, it's got to go right away. You can't be like, let's wait for that CFL bulb to warm up, and then, we can tell, okay, now you can stop. So that's not going to work. But as you can see in your spreadsheet model, right, instead of it being $50 to buy a light bulb, you could put in your labor costs. Like, how much does it cost to change a light bulb? Let's just say we save $50 of labor, right?
Well,
then,
it depends how many people it takes.
For sure. For sure. Whatever number you could put in, all of a sudden the calculus of is it worth buying an LED bulb versus buying an incandescent bulb. Like Boston's not moving, right? That you might leave your rental apartment and have someone else come back. And so if you buy, there was a time even, don't think I'm a crazy cheapskate. When I put in CFL bulbs in our previous
You took them with you.
You sold free Haggadah.
Exactly. I didn't take them with me, but I promised my wife that we would. When she goes, how can you spend so much on light bulbs? I said, we're going to save electricity. She goes, yeah, but it's really a ton of money on light bulbs. I said, I'll take them with us when we go. And we didn't, but we could have. Right? Say again? It's the same, yeah. It's like, but it's just like, it's so crazy. Now, Boston's not going to do that. Right? Boston's not going to move it.
Boston's not going anywhere.
Right, Boston's not going anywhere. It's a city. Right? Which is why, so now here you are, you're Cree, right? Cree now also makes it worth buying. Perhaps saying we should maybe sell after the municipal market. The municipal market is not a market we need to worry about cash outlay, right? Because they pay attention to their own costs. And admittedly, those wattage hours are a little bit differently. And even some things, by the way, is nuances to say there's more daylight hours, in the Southwest than there are in the Northeast, where you have to have street lamps on a bit longer, right? So you need more light. You want to spend more on light. So if you're Cree, do you want to sell to Houston or Boston? The answer is Boston because the Boston needs more lights. So, here you are, back to the key questions. Which market should Cree pursue?
Both.
Municipal, commercial, industrial.
Right? You're saying both. You're saying muni, commercial, and industrial, right? I'll defend your position first.
I think the general residential, by and large, people are just not going to do it because more people I would say there's a higher proportion of residential people who want to go away from this like massive capital expenditure on light bulbs.
Right.
And then, but in the industrial sense, I think you're going to see like a much bigger scope of financing decision, and they're able to see the long-term benefits of it. And when you're spending $100,000 on light bulbs, then you might do it. But for 50, an individual's not going to go and say, well, I can't go out to a restaurant this week because I just spent $50 on a light bulb.
Right. As frighteningly true as that is. Good. But why would you say both?
Because it's you can first of all because the market was saturated with the backlighting. So once that market saturated, competition went in and took your share. You're not making as much money, but you're still producing so the fixed cost is like just like the economy.
Right. So
if you spend.
But before we go any further, let me cut you off. So for sure, you've laid the case for why backlighting is a bad industry to enter because it's an industry for which as soon as you get in, it becomes saturated and useless and not much to make for it. So okay, fine. But now, what about between residential and commercial? Personal, which is the bigger market?
No, I disagree.
Think about what?
In terms
Think
of
about what definition?
by how many light bulbs you can be able to sell?
I think industrial.
Well, is it residential?
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, let's just say every home needs a light bulb in it.
Yeah.
Every business is a light bulb.
Right, but how many? But there are more people who need. More people have homes than businesses, right? Think about this room, right? There's 8 of us sharing one light bulb, not one light bulb, if you will, but we go home, we're each gonna have our own light bulbs. Again, crudely.
It's a company.
Crudely, yes. Yes. My own light bulb would be terrific. Good, but now come back to, all right, so now we've established that residential is definitely bigger, but why you're saying pursue both?
Yeah.
Why?
Because those who are going to, so for example, management and whatnot, landlords that have buildings, electricity is included, they're going to think twice. They're going to say, I need to take this one, $50 and spend it times at whatever.
Right. So look at, but a landlord is not a residential buyer.
It's not, but that would cover the commercial. And that's just a smart. On the long run, you save more.
Right.
As for the general residential, it's the same thing. They might spend a little bit more, but in the long run, they'll also save more.
Right. So the hope is that for sure, stupid residents look how much money you can save with our light bulbs. Except that it's not everybody, because you have, first of all, the ones who are cash poor, then you have the ones who are too transient to say, like, I mean, I guess I could take my light bulb with me when I move, but like, you know, you never think about the day you're moving, but you are thinking about like.
I spent $50 on a light bulb,
I would definitely, yeah, I would, and believe me, it's. Then you gotta think like, I can't have this apartment with empty light bulbs. I move much, so you go out to the store and you buy brand new incandescents just to stick in, just so you have nothing in there. But meanwhile, I've been saving all this money on electricity and air conditioning. It just doesn't work, right? But come back to now municipal, commercial, industrial, right? The cost calculus we had before. What you said made sense, but it only made sense for a subset. Okay? So as big as the market is, it's really only a subset of that market. And then on top of that,
But you might as well, because research and development is costing you so much money, you might as well spread it out between all these markets, try to target more people.
aha, good. So now, right, so now we're making two different arguments. Argument number one is which one versus the other, and the other is both versus only one, right? So
You
the
can't
question
really
about,
hurt yourself offering it to residential.
aha, so now we're going to go back to the stuff we talked about earlier this semester about pursuing multiple markets at the same time.
Well, you do. You spend money for marketing.
What does Porter say? Right? Exactly. Spending money marketing, all the activities. How do you set up your sales force to sell to the residential market? How do you set up your sales force to sell to the commercial market?
You can hurt tomorrow, sir, and you can't. You have to.
One
sell
has to
everything.
be cost strategy and one has to be differentiated.
Right? Perhaps. But they're completely different sales force. When you're selling to the end consumer, you have to have, you're setting a completely different advertising strategy. Right? When you're selling to an end consumer, right, consumers are much more diffuse. Right? You sell to a commercial, you sell to a municipality, you're selling to Boston, Boston makes a purchase decision. Right? You're selling to an individual, you have to have 50,000 people or 500,000 people each make that same purchase decision.
And they're easily changed.
Very easily changed and much more whimsical. Not to say it can't be done, because when you go to Boston, Boston's going to come back and say, hey, we're an entire city, you better give us a good deal. But, why would Cree want to go after something where they can get a whole lot of customers even if they have to cut into their own pricing? Think about what we saw. Volume, but why? Economies of scale, why? And why do economies of scale matter so much for new technology?
Because costs go, are spread out over a larger
Right?
amount. And also
Which
you
matters
gain market
why?
share,
You get the
because
money
you
back
take,
earlier.
you get a market share.
Because of what we have here. Because of what we have here. They already are up here, right? They already are, and I can say it's very faint, but you can see the line I'm trying to point at. Right? They already are at the point
They will
here
bring it
where
in.
they've got sufficient, where they know that there's a technology better cost, right? So we have a choice of crawling down the cost curve with the individual or jumping down the cost curve as best as you can, and you're going to make concessions to customers that are going to buy large volumes in order for you to get the volume that you can create scale. Because you don't have scale, you need to get buyers who are going to buy a whole lot of your product at once in order for you to get scale. Once you have scale, then it's worth entering the individual market, right? Does that make sense? Good. So, this is the thought exercise that I came up with before, right? Remember, this is the second question is a thought exercise. First question is a separate discussion. Second question, what would you do if you discovered a technology that meant you never would have to change a light bulb ever again?
What do you mean, what would we do?
What would you, if you're a manufacturer, right? You're a Cree.
I'd become
And the
a
guy is
millionaire.
like going like, you know what, I just figured out another way. You just pull the shingy and the boongy and this chemical reaction and poof. Now instead of this light bulb lasting 17 years, it'll last 17,000.
You have to analyze
Well,
what's the
there's two-
market from the recurrent
There's
buyers.
two very important things to do. Number
Right.
one, you have to determine, you have to be able to sell the idea to the market that they'll actually believe that they can buy one product, never have to change it again, number one. Number two, if they actually believe that, how much would they be willing to pay?
Right? But then, you have
And
the
then-
third aspect of it, which is, can you produce enough of it
To make it
worth producing?
Yeah, because if they're only willing to pay, let's say, $100 anyway,
Right.
you can't produce it for less.
But now let's say you can.
Then there's
And
an
sell it.
demand.
Then the question
But
goes,
then what happens to your market?
no, it really
You
depends.
exhaust your own market.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's the issue,
that's it.
right?
And a lot of times, I was just listening to a lecture, and they were saying, and
Which one?
they were saying, it was Radio School, and he was saying how they can't come up with that. He's like, what do you think? The government controls everything. They're not going to allow, even if there is a cancer, like a cure for cancer, they'll never allow it to come out because that's how all the pharmaceutical and the government makes money.
Right.
So even if there is something, it's gonna destroy the market that
That's
they won't
another
even allow it to
conspiracy
come out.
theory.
Yeah, it's not actually true.
He's
Because
not
I will
controversial.
give an example.
He's not controversial at all.
Of course it is.
Right, no, he's really like,
But
he says
let me
that
give
as
let,
it
let me
is.
give a counterexample of a situation where in fact there was a technology that came out that put an entire industry out of business, and that is called fluoridated water. Right? So
What called what?
fluoridated water. Right? Anybody have dentistry in the family? Right? So you're nodding. Explain what's the deal with fluoride in the water.
I don't know, is it, whenever it's in there, like you shouldn't drink it, is that where the bottled water came from?
No, opposite.
Oh,
Fluoride-
it's good for you.
Fluoride in the water prevents cavities. When there is fluoride in the water, there is no more need for dentists, right? So the question is, what would dentists support there being fluoride in the water, or would dentists support there being no fluoride in the water? Right?
Of course,
We can speak both from an economic standpoint as well as from a health moral standpoint, but let's just stick with economics, right?
No.
And when.
But how
Right.
can they influence it?
Very easy. Lobbying, they're the experts at
Long
the
story.
right? Why would dentists want there to be fluoride in the water?
So why wouldn't they want it?
Yeah, so people won't get cavities. It's a good thing, right? And what do dentists do who do that? They do more important things like, replace some,
Implants, root canals.
root canals. Exactly.
But that's the problem, it's
The doctor.
stages.
Right?
So you don't go from a cavity, from an untreated cavity to a root canal, like, no, I've been
Right.
spending a lot of
Right,
hours.
but you won't get the untreated cavity.
Hours with the dentist.
You won't get the untreated cavity if you're having fluoridated water. For sure, people will still have dental needs, right? There are just few of them. So the economic theory would say, in markets where there is a shortage of dentists, dentists would be thrilled to support fluoridated water. And in markets where there is a oversupply of dentists, the dentists are going to say, you're putting us out of business, except they won't actually use that language. They're going to say instead, this is terrible because it'll make something unfit.
But I think it's berserk to say that there's
what?
a cure for cancer and there's lobbyists. It's not. It's just it's. There's
It-
so
it-
much
it-
research going
yeah.
into
But
it.
that's the
Really
thing.
goes into
That
it.
it's
You don't think it's true though?
as a
No,
thought
correct, I don't
exercise.
think it's
It's
true.
a thought
Really?
exercise.
Yes, really.
Well, let's separate two different issues. One is a thought exercise, and the other is
You don't think
science.
that if the government
No, there are billions and billions.
finds out someone comes up with a cure,
Yes,
they
I
will-
don't think that's the case because having spoken to oncologists and understanding the actual medical mechanism behind cancer, you recognize that cancer is not actually a singular disease, it is actually just a class of different illnesses for which, anytime you kind of fix one of them, there's still infinite other different combinations for what we call cancer that just falls under the umbrella of what we use the name for cancer, but it's actually, again, 800 million different kinds of diseases.
So there are
Right.
billions
So you can
of
cure one of them,
others.
but there's still 799 others in the way. Aside from the fact it feeds into the notion of conspiracy theorizing about medicine, which is its own silly. Now, as a thought exercise, right? As a thought exercise to say, would we ever support something, right, that would put us out of industry, right? So here we are. Why would GE, right? Here we are, General Electric. Why is Cree coming up? This no-name little chemical company coming up with an LED bulb instead of GE, the American Dow 50 light bulb company. How come they can't figure this out? Why is it
Maybe
Cree?
they don't want to.
The answer
They
is
don't,
want.
right? So it's not, there's a difference between it can't be done versus saying, who's the one who would make it happen? And the answer is, the people who are going to come up with this are the ones who don't benefit from the incumbent technology. It's the Crees of the world, right? There's a concept of disruptive technology that came before. The incumbents have no incentive to support a new technology because they make money off the existing technology.
So what is GE doing in order to jump on the wagon right now?
There is talk that GE might actually buy Cree. Because they're already behind, right? They say, okay, great, LED is the future. We don't know how to do LED. Cree knows how to do LED. Let's buy this little LED company that's going to make it. And Cree, of course, knows that, and that's been in negotiation for a couple of years. Wouldn't shock me if it happened tomorrow. Hasn't happened yet, right? And by the way, even still with LED, as much as everything we've said about the cost curve, right? The fact of the matter is, it's not quite there. Right? Because everything we talked about in terms of modeling the future costs of whether it's worth it for free, right? right? In 2003, they projected that the US LED lighting market was for about 35 million, and in fact it was 500 million. So they're off by a factor more than 10. Now, in 2009, the projection for the US LED lighting market would be 14 billion. Right? Were they right? Were they not right? You can look it up. But let me ask instead a different question. Who makes these numbers, and why do we expect these prices to drop? Right? Why do we expect the prices, the future prices, to be what they are? So for everything we modeled about, here's how much a light bulb is, there's still the people who are thinking, well, $50 is a lot for a light bulb, but 45 bucks I could swallow, or 40 bucks I could swallow, or 20 bucks I could swallow. I mean, like, I know you were thinking about, you spend a couple $1,000 on lighting in your home, right? And here I am thinking, if I just, have that one LED bulb that burnt out, if I only have 15 bulbs in my kitchen instead of 16, I'll wait another year, aside from having a little burnt out light bulb in the corner of my room, I could save a few bucks. Right? Would I rather spend $15 next year, $20 this year? Well, if I have a discount rate of anything less than 25%, yeah, I'd rather wait.
There's also a negative perception which you have to get over, which is the fact that you're so used to, we're all accustomed to buying a laptop when it's
Yes.
offer. That paying $50, you know it's going to break in a week.
Yep.
So it's
Yep. So for sure, the psychology of behavior, the psychology of purchasing decisions, definitely is affected by all the issues we have here. But I want to come back to the basic issue of who makes these numbers. In these cases, they were handed to you on a silver platter, right? And if you're sitting there, analyzing your own new technology, saying everybody wants Pestex, right? Well, really, everyone wants it. How big is the pest industry? How big is it going to grow in 5 years? How many pests are there going to be? Who makes these numbers?
Grows 5% every year.
Who makes up that number? Where does that
The
number come
market
from?
does, and that's
Right?
just in the US.
Well, no,
market.
you say the market. You have numbers that you're using to put in a spreadsheet. Now, in some cases, I hand it to you here. But in other cases, it comes from the case, right? The Harvard Business Review case. In real life, you don't have a Harvard Business Review case, but you might find who is writing together these numbers about how much the industry is going to grow in 5 years. How much is demand going to be for this product in 5 years? Where are those numbers coming from? Who?
usage.
Well, you do marketing research, no?
You could do some market research, sure, but inevitably, what really happens? Someone else is doing the market
the
research.
company.
Yeah, there's some sort of analyst group, right? Some sort of bank might have done some sort of formula out there,
Nielsen.
But it's some dude with an MBA sitting with a spreadsheet and a few blocks from me here in an office building, maybe even working for Bloomberg, right? Figuring out, here's what I think the light bulb market's going to be. And guess what? They could be off by a factor of 15. They don't know. They don't care. They're just in the business of selling predictions. Right? So here you are going, I wonder what the market's going to be like for this in 5 years. You don't know. You could pay someone else to figure it out, but they don't know either. Now what? So there's still some uncertainty about how these numbers are derived, right? And so just as we built the model with very, very specific parameters of this is how much a light bulb is going to cost, you also have to be thinking about where are the things that are variable, right? That when I say variable, not just a variable cost, but in terms of I don't know how much it'll cost, may cost more, may cost less. We'll see moving forward, right? Separate analysis. Now let's come back to sort of the basics of what we've learned from the case. We have the value chain. What's in the value chain where Cree is? What's the value chain in the light bulb business?
Manufacturer,
Manufacturer, good. Before manufacturer,
well, supplies to the manufacturer.
okay, which is what?
Creator.
Which is what, I'm sorry?
Creator.
What do you mean, creator?
Oh,
The invention.
Right, so
Chemical.
that's not a value chain, because once you made it, you've made it.
electrical,
Right.
chemical.
But like a basic light bulb, right? What's in the basic light bulb? You got glass, you got metal, you got, okay, those are raw materials, and now you have what else? What's the next value-added activity?
Factory.
Put it all together,
Production.
that's a manufacturing production, then what's the next value-added activity? You gotta package it, you gotta sell it, you gotta hold, you have to distribute it, you gotta get to the end consumer, okay? So the way that this value chain is set up in the lighting industry, right, is it turns out that, the people who are good at distributing are not the same ones who are good at manufacturing. GE does both, right? And Cree is busy on the figuring out how to, build a better light bulb phase. They're not really that strong on the actually building the better light. No, they're good at figuring it out, they're not actually good at doing it. So, what should they do? What did they decide to do historically when they had the opportunity to go further down the value chain? And I think it's on page 2 or 3 of these. Right. What did they do? Take a look at the case. Exhibit 3, Exhibit 11, and Exhibit 16. Exhibit 3. What did you see in the case?
Oh, they kept trying to.
Put up the, You'll see it.
Page 3?
Exhibit. Okay. So exhibit 3, you can see just the various componentry. Right? The chip, the wire, the connection, right? An LED, right? An incandescent light bulb is just simply a filament, but an LED light bulb has a whole like microchip in there. Right? It's not as trivial as when you turn it on, it's like a computer program. Right? It's not as simple. Right? And then exhibit 11. Right now, exhibit 3 just painted a picture of what there is and what the value activities are. What does exhibit 11 tell you? Right? How they differ, all the different pieces that go into it. And then exhibit 16 is somebody's judgment about where all the value goes. So when you're buying a $50 light bulb, who got which penny? Some pennies went earlier, right? Some pennies went to Cree, some pennies went to Home Depot as the distributor. And which part of the business would you want to be in if you're Cree? If you're selling a $50 LED light bulb, right? When I buy a $50 LED light bulb, where do the dollars go?
Where did it go to Cree? Where?
No.
Traditional lighting.
Right? So yeah, where do the dollars go?
When you buy the $50?
That $50, if you were to track every dollar back to its source, right? So a couple pennies are going to go to the truck driver who drove it, the bulb for the manufacturing
The
plant.
sound for the research and
Right.
A lot more
development,
pieces in
sound
the
for
LED.
that.
Right, there's a lot more pieces in the LED. So if you're Cree, where are you suited to capture most of the value? Because remember, the price is not the same as the value capture,
Research and development.
right? It's the R&D, but R&D is a sunk cost.
Okay, sure.
Right. R&D is a fixed cost. It's
So
funded
in
out of cost.
manufacturing,
Right. Is it manufacturing? You're guessing, right? What does it actually say in the chart?
Luminaire.
Right.
Bias.
Right. The actual thing that lights it. Right. So in an incandescent light bulb, how much is the luminaire worth?
Nothing.
It's just a little filament. It literally is just a teeny wire that goes, and that's it. Now, to make the thing that actually makes the lighting component is not a little teeny wire. It's a very complex component for Cree. So they haven't just, and by the way, all they do is they stick it in the exact same screw base as a regular light bulb. They wouldn't have to do that. They could have an LED bulb that could connect any other way, but they want to have some backward compatibility that existing lighting structure. Right? So it's the luminaire, which is where the money is, and that's why they're staying there. But now let's come back to the backlighting, because you had some points you were making about this. This is now we can work with that. Why? What lessons did Cree learn from the phone business that we're seeing with backlighting? Was it a high
Because-
probability to be in this LED phone business?
it was in the beginning,
But-
but then the market saturated when other competitors saw what they did and mimicked them. So,
Right. So
and
you
it
have the
was
sharp growth, right, followed by a period of saturation, right? And then it's sort of like this momentum. It's okay, now everyone's making it. No, really everyone's making it. And now there's so many people making it, there's no way to make any money from it. So now we get to drop the price really quickly. Oops, that's not worth entry.
Yeah.
Right? Very typical in a situation where there's also low barriers to entry, right? You come up with a great new product.
And also technology, it changes. It's like one of the hardest industries because it constantly changes. You have to keep up with the change.
Yep. So for them, so now here they come backlighting. Is it worth getting in the backlighting business? Someone's got to do it. But for
I mean-
free, do they want to be in the backlighting business?
They've made a lot of money from it.
But
So and they are expert in it. I don't think
but-
that dropping it wouldn't necessarily be smart because they'll still lose share in what they already have because they did establish a brand in that industry
right.
and customers and all that. So
But
I
it's
mean,
temporary.
it is temporary, but why not exhaust it until you can? I mean, you do
Because
have
because you still have to build infrastructure to support it.
okay, but
And now let's take that a bit further. So now let's
so
go
maybe
back
now
to
you're
the
not
issue.
making as much money, but you're still making money. So you weren't making
You're making-
100%, you're making the 30%, but it's still good enough to operate.
Right?
Because let me give you an example.
But you're not.
Perfect example is my store. I had an iPhone store.
Uh-huh.
Every time that you an iPhone 5 or 6 or whatever, an iPhone 4, whatever came
Yep.
out, I still had inventory.
Yep.
Prices went down. I didn't stop servicing it
Yep.
because new technology went up, but
No,
I had
for
to lower
sure.
my prices
For
and make
sure.
less of a margin
Let's
on it.
now come back to the notion of Porter's generic strategies. We have the premium differentiator business and the cost business. What kind of company is cost leadership? What kind of company is Cree? Is Cree in cost leadership or is Cree in differentiation?
Cost leadership.
No. It's
No.
Cree
But it was in
differentiation.
the beginning.
Is Cree operating as differentiator,
Yes.
right? Or cost leader? Why are they
Now
differentiator?
New technology.
Yeah, because they're providing new technology for which people are paying a premium for, right? And why are people willing to pay a premium for it? Because it saves them money. Not because they're trying to make extra money for Cree. Cree's happy to charge you a $50 light bulb. Who's suffering the cost is the electric company that's not providing you as many watts for your light bulb. Okay, they're not providing as many watts for your light bulb. You don't care. You're just the person who's buying.
But
you know,
is that as
buying.
open business strategy?
Say again?
That's not as that has
No, but in terms
always
of where they are right now,
Okay,
right?
but
Where they are right now, and now, given that they're now a premium producing company, right? How would you define someone who's trying to capture a quick market, right? Is that a premium differentiation type of company or a cost leadership?
a quick market.
Yeah.
That's
Probably
a
cost
cost.
leadership.
Those are the cost leadership. So for Cree to go after this would be a manifestation of cost leadership. Right? It's a short-term business. In the same way, think about stores that pop up just the week before Halloween. Right, it's a the concept of pop-up stores. Right? Pop-up stores don't exist to charge premiums.
Yeah, they discount all this.
They exist to discount, and they maintain their cost leadership by virtue of the fact that they have no long-term costs. Right? They have no long-term infrastructure to maintain. They're literally a pop-up store, be it for Halloween, for Valentine's Day, for Passover. They just show up in the short term, and there's nothing wrong with being in that business, but it's a cost leadership business, right? It's not a premium business. And Cree now has learned the lesson of trying to operate in a quick, to enter the cost leadership game when everything else says premium, right?
Okay, but
And by the way, the big clue for premium is you're spending money in R&D,
But
because cost leadership
yeah.
companies don't do that.
it's not like they made a bad decision. They made $423 million. I still don't think that, I don't think
No,
that's
it wasn't long-term sustainable.
It's okay, but
So
if
like,
they make
hey, this is a
420
fun short-term activity, but it's not,
Yeah, but
it's opportunistic at best.
okay. But
It's
I
opportunistic
don't think you
at
should abandon it overall if it gave you that much. Even if you lose some of the market, you're still making some money.
So I want to do a couple things. All right, so next we have 10 minutes left. It is till 5:15, but I know you want to get our 5:01, you have to get our 5:02, and that's what it is. This is just, it's fine. Here, take your handout here. Handout, it's fine. This is just for your own intellectual edification. Stick it in your file and read it. This is just what happened to Cree in the end.
We're not getting light bulbs?
Say again? You're not getting light bulbs, you said? You can get a light bulb. You can buy it on Amazon.com. Walmart, Trader Joe's, themselves. Who did I not get a copy to? I mean, 6 copies. I'm not paying attention.
Do not copy.
Yeah, they pay no attention to the things that do not copy, because that was just the version that I have. Next week, we are going to be talking about the following construct: escalation of committee. Right? The basic idea. This is how I could put it in very lay terms. How do we get stuck on strategies that we know aren't working? Right? This is very nice for sort of kind of your personal life. You're saying, okay, how am I stuck in the situation I've done it? But it's not just on your personal life. It also works on the corporate side.
Is this
And it-
related to marriage?
Say again?
Is this related to marriage?
Possibly, but this is less on the notion of sunk costing. And I would say if you want to talk about this vis-a-vis marriage, it's usually in the context of dating, right? How is it that I'm doing all the things I think I'm supposed to be and I'm still single? That's the issue. Not how is this that I'm stuck in this marriage? Different issue, right?
Are you gonna post the worksheet?
Don't you?
Yeah. The light bulb one, yes, not the husky.
Did you see the fluctuations here? Doesn't
Say
it?
again.
It went from 57 to 33 to 30 to 152.
Yes, because they're so desperate to gain scale that they've not been disciplined in their revenue. And if you looked at their stock price over time, you're not going to see it. So here's what we're going to cover in the next couple of weeks. All right? I want you to conceptualize the following 2 ideas. Which of these would you rather do? Spend 2 hours seeing a bad movie, or spend 2 hours doing something you enjoy?
B.
B, good, all right. We got the very simple answer from you. Very simple. Now,
Well, the answer is it depends.
no, you're funny about that. Okay, good. Now, imagine the following scenario. Here you are. You hopped on the subway. You went down to the theater, right? You got these movie tickets, right? And while you're in line, all the people coming out of the previous screen saying, that movie was so bad. And you go, well, I guess it's bad. Say again? It was worse. And you're like, well, maybe it could have been that bad. Do you see the movie, or do you quit and go home?
I see the movie.
You see the movie?
I never believe what people say.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah,
It depends what else
See
I
the movie?
have
Good.
to do.
So now let's look at this from an arithmetic standpoint, okay? $10 to buy a ticket to a bad movie, $10 whatever that, and then 2 hours to see a bad movie, or $10 for the ticket, and then 2 hours doing something you would enjoy. What you are telling me is